Hey guys, this is Nathan and welcome to the Gaming 4. Welcome back to the second season of our Unturned map review series. Today I'm going to be going over the first map that actually won the initial vote on which map should be reviewed, and that is When Grass Starts to Grow by Tiway. Now this map actually did really well. It got 89 out of 100, so you all voted pretty well. Now this map review season is going to go pretty much the same as the other map review season, though we have changed our scoring and grading criteria. If you all are interested in what it actually is that we're scoring these maps on, please check down below in the description. I'll also be referencing how we're scoring these maps throughout the video as well, as you guys would expect. So anyway, let's get into some of the strengths of this map, and then we'll talk about the weaknesses and overall, what could be done to improve the map. So one of the overarching features of this map that actually made it stand out a lot compared to a lot of the other maps we've done was the challenge factor, and it was almost perfect. Now there's a couple things that contribute to the challenge factor in this map that made it so good. First of all, there was enough food to get by in all locations. Now that being said, there wasn't a ton of extra food. There was just enough to get by, but enough to where you're confident you're going to get to the next location and potentially find some more. Also, there was a good amount of clothing, not too much to where we had tons of it at the beginning of the game, but enough to where we had a few pieces of clothing to upgrade our inventory, and then we were constantly looking for those better pieces of clothing because they were balanced properly. It was hard to find the better pieces of clothing, which is overall a good thing in a survival map. Also, there was good inclusion of ranged weapons as well as melee weapons throughout the entire map. We did have some issues with the ranged weapons, but I'll talk about that in the weaknesses section. But overall, there was a really good spread of those types of weapons here and there throughout the entire map, and a good amount of ammo to go with those as well. So overall, the challenge was very good. It kept us on edge almost the whole survival, and I will say through our normal playthrough section, we did not once die, but we were close to it many times. So it was very good, very challenging, and it made it quite enjoyable. Another really good feature of this map that kind of stood out was the landscape. Throughout the entire landscape, there really was never a dull moment. There was a lot of good blending between different types of materials that kept the landscape interesting. There's also a good amount in difference in heights, though not too much to where it would impede your traveling from place to place throughout the map. There's also a good inclusion of boulders, natural structures, some caves, all of which kept it interesting to explore those various corners of the map that are not necessarily marked on any of the charts or GPS, but overall it was very nice and refreshing to have such an interesting landscape for us to explore. Speaking of traveling from one area of the map to another, there was a good inclusion of land vehicles throughout this entire map, as well as the maintenance gear to go with it. Now I will say the maintenance gear was actually a little bit harder to find, but I think this positively impacted the challenge of the map because some of the necessary required maintenance gear that you need for those vehicles was harder to find to where you're actually actively looking for those items and trying to find them. And I think it overall enhances the survival experience, being a little bit desperate for some of those resources in some of those ways. The nice thing is those resources were included throughout the map, so you can find it eventually. You just have to put some time into looking for those. One of the last things that this map also did very well with including was Easter eggs, as well as a lot of new map features, and this includes NPCs, quests, dialogues, vendors, and a lot of other things that a lot of the other map making community don't include in most of their maps. Of course, there was a large quest line that we did dig into a little bit. There was a lot of content that I wasn't able to test out and explore, but I did look at some of the files and I did see that there was quite a lot of content there for whoever plays the map to hopefully enjoy. So very good inclusion of those newer features there. Overall, this map actually looked and felt and played very, very well. So I highly suggest you all looking it up and checking it out. There will of course be a link to it in the description below, and this is pretty much it for the strengths of this map. So let's move on to some of the weaknesses and some of the areas that this map could have done better in, as well as some of the ways that you could potentially improve this map. So one of the areas of this map that actually did the worst and probably lost the most points on was the detailing. Now the detailing was consistent, but it was all around a little bit below what I would consider average. Some of the areas of the map were pretty poorly detailed, and of course it is a large map, so there's a lot of places to detail, but regardless, in certain places we found apartment buildings where only the first floor of the apartment building was detailed, so it's pretty shabby in some of those ways, and it really could use some help. I understand not being able to detail the entirety of a large map in such a high quality, but certainly if you're going to go back and work through this map again and try to improve it, definitely focus on adding more detail to almost every location. Another area of the map that could actually be easily fully fixed, and I kind of hinted at before, is that it did not include water or air vehicles as far as we could tell. Now, we did explore the entirety of the map, including some of the areas that are outside of the normal bounds of the map, and I didn't find any instances of water or air vehicles. Now, even though they may not be that important to travel around the map, it's still good to include those just so that you have some variety, and if players really do want to ride a boat around the map, give them the chance to do that, because why not? It doesn't really hurt any of the map, and it doesn't really hurt the balancing, so you might as well include them just for variety's sake. Now, in terms of item spawns in the map, there was only one type that was actually lacking, and this was ammo crates. Most of the ammo that you're provided for a lot of the weapons that you found was in the form of magazines, and it's helpful to have a few extra magazines for a gun just so you can quickly reload them without having to go into the crafting menu and fill one up. The issue with this is if all you have is magazines, you don't ever have a really good way to refill the magazines you have, and because of this, it's very important to include some more of those normal ammo crate type spawns of pretty much every type of ammo. Now, I did find a few, but really what I'm thinking is there should have been a lot more of those types of spawns and potentially less of the normal magazine type spawns. I think it really would have helped the flow of the map, and it would have made it easier for survivors to use the firearms that they find when exploring some of those higher tier areas. So there's one last issue relating to item spawns that I wanted to talk about, and it has to do with the variety of food spawns. Now, throughout the entire map, I found almost 90% to 95% of canned food items, and I'm not talking about drinks. The drinks I think were fine. I found it kind of weird when surviving to be finding almost exclusively canned items, and I know it kind of fits the theme of the map because it is supposed to be set 45 years after the apocalypse, so canned food items would be the ones that are most likely to be around, but I think adding a little bit more variety, maybe not a ton, small rare percentages of some normal food items would have really refreshed the types of food that you're able to find when looting certain areas. This one's kind of a more subjective thing compared to everything else that I had to critique, but I definitely would consider adding a little bit more variety in that area specifically. Now, if you guys look at the score for this map, something you might notice that's kind of unusual is that there were some points lost for the presentation of the map. Now, this was a little bit unusual for us as well. Normally in the last season, we would grade the presentation score very leniently, and this year we're actually going to be making it a little bit harsher and a little bit easier for people to lose points in the presentation section. And the main reason that points were lost in the presentation section really had to do with the amount of text information on the Steam posting for the map. Some of the things that I think were specifically missing was information about how many locations, what size is the map, how many quests, NPCs or vendors, and really any other specifics that would help players be more interested in actually looking at your map and trying it out. So consider adding some more of that information, especially in a structured format, not in paragraph blocks, so that it's easy to comb through and easy to glean information off of in a quick manner. Because a lot of people aren't going to be able to necessarily take the time to watch videos or read paragraphs about your map. They're just going to want that information in a nice, easy format for them to just look over quickly and learn about. So one of the last things that this map actually lost points on has to do with the overall aesthetic, the look, and the feel of the map. Overall, this map did not strike me as being ultra beautiful or attractive in terms of its looks. Now, it definitely didn't look bad or ugly in any way, but I think there could be some work potentially done on maybe some of the material colors or sky colors or watercolor even to enhance this map in some way. Now, some of this is definitely going to be due to the style and the location that was chosen for this map, and some of that is going to be unavoidable, but it's possible that in some ways through tweaking some of the colors and themes that you may be able to make this map look a little bit better. That was really one of the last things that this map lost points off of. Now, there were a couple bugs, technical issues that I found, and I'm just going to mention them here. I won't go into detail, but if Tiway wants to contact me over Discord, I'll definitely explain specifically where those issues happened. The first one was one of the quests was definitely broken. We were actually able to complete a quest in a way that the quest should not have been able to be completed, and there were also a couple issues with some of the NPC dialogue to where it looked like there was either bugs in the code or it was just not completed. So definitely take a look over those. Definitely message me as well. I can give you more information on that. One of the other things that we found that was kind of technically broken, the underground location at the mine was actually broken to where we could not get through the doorway. Now, I'm not sure why this was happening. It seemed like there was some sort of invisible force field or object pushing us back out of that doorway, but we were not able to get into that location of the map, and it actually kept us from exploring some of the nicer content that you could have had hidden in that cave. So I'm not really sure what was happening there, but that would be something to look at as well. Alrighty guys, so that's it for the strengths and the weaknesses of this map. Obviously it did well regardless of the weaknesses. It got an 89 out of 100, and of course 5 of those points were from Easter eggs, so there's plenty of small hidden things things for you guys to find as well. I will be starting the next vote for the map very soon. The best place to find that next link will be in our Discord. I think that's going to be the only place that I'll be making the next voting link publicly available. So if you all are interested in voting on which map should be reviewed next, that is the place to find it. I will be posting it within a couple days of releasing this map to YouTube, so expect that soon. Also, if you guys want to have your map nominated for this new Unturned map review series, there's a link for that as well in the Discord. Just ask around, somebody will show you where it's at. And once again, of course guys, if you're interested in this map, there will be a link to it down in the description below, as well as some of the scoring details, so go check that out if you're interested. Anyway guys, thank you so much for watching. Please like this video if you enjoyed it. Please subscribe if you want to see some more, and I will see you all later.